Welcome back, everyone. It is day 2 of the 2019 Overwatch League season here in Los Angeles. And if day 1 was any indicator, this league is going to be even more exciting than it was in our inaugural season. Here's a look at one of our 8 expansion teams this year. The Toronto Defiant will make their Overwatch League debut in just under 30 minutes. They'll take on one of our fan favorites, though, from the 2018 season, the Houston Outlaws. Jake and the boys are getting ready to kick off their 2nd season, and expectations are higher than ever. Another day, another sold-out crowd here in the Blizzard Arena. Fans are packing in to see the best Overwatch players in the world. Welcome, everybody. This is the Watchpoint preview show. We'll serve as your appetizer every match day throughout the season. I'm Puckett, joined with an awesome cast. We got Zoe, we've got Doa in his nice leather jacket, and Monte, fresh off of panhandling, finding gold. What do you call that? Panning for gold.
Do find nuggets of gold in Overwatch League broadcast to give to you.
He told me he was going to drink my milkshake and then tried to hit me with a bowling ball. So I don't know. Thanks for stopping right before.
Just another day at the Overwatch.
It's going to be an exciting day, and we had a very exciting opening day yesterday. If you guys missed it, in the end, it was New York, Seoul, and Hangzhou all starting off with some major wins. And when it came to that Grand Finals rematch, it was the Fusion toppling the reigning champion London Spitfire. As EQO told us after the match, it was indeed sweet revenge.
I think the revenge is sweet. I remember on Grand Finals after we lost, they said on the interview that they expected like some more challenge and things like that, and I found that disrespectful, especially after we've been scrim partners and we've been making each other better across the playoffs. And so I hope they have their feet on the ground after today.
Philadelphia Fusion starts off with a bang and with a big fat W.
This first match proved that like power rankings don't matter, like predictions don't matter. At the end, the team that actually invested and worked hard on scrims, are the ones that get to enjoy the sweet victory on stage.
Man, I love that guy. The Fusion and EQO certainly looked more confident yesterday than they did in the Grand Finals matchup, and the numbers certainly agree. Their team leader, Carpe, popped off compared to what he did back in the Barclays Center in July. If Philly hopes they can ride this momentum into the rest of the season. Today we got a big show. We'll be taking a look at why Stryker wanted out of Boston and how he's fitting in with the crowded San Francisco roster. And we've got 4 of our 8 expansion teams making their Overwatch League debuts today. Plus, Monte the Godfather will make some offers that no one can refuse as he decides which teams will be admitted into the Watchpoint family. 4 epic battles going down here on the Overwatch League main stage. Toronto and Houston, plus the debut of Atlanta against a refreshed Florida Mayhem roster. And our expansion teams from Guangzhou and Chengdu will square off later in the evening. But the match we've got our eyes on, the one we got to start with here, is Dallas versus San Francisco. Expectations are sky high for a Shock squad that boasts one of the most stacked rosters in the league. And speaking of expectations, the Fuel failed to live up to theirs in the inaugural season. So Doa, let's talk about Dallas first. What big moves did they make in the offseason to get better?
I think the biggest move they made is picking up a player named Closer. He's a fantastic main support. They put this guy on a 2-year contract. I actually talked to Arrow a little bit ago, head coach for the Dallas Fuel, about this guy. He's a great mechanical support. He's great at tracking the ultimates. And even though he doesn't quite have a firm grasp on English yet, he really kind of focuses on trying to keep the team in a positive mentality. We know this guy has a little bit of a history as a shot caller as well. So overall, I think this is going to be a massive benefit for Dallas.
Love seeing them staff up. Let's talk about the other side here, Zoe, because the San Francisco Shock are carrying the league maximum 12 players on the lineup. If you got the money, why wouldn't you sign all 12?
I mean, Puckett, I think you can make an argument for a big roster as well as a small roster. However, if we're looking at Season 1 as well as the off-season, it looked to me like most teams try to slim their rosters down more than stacking up to add more players. Here is a pro and con list of why that is the case. Pros is obvious. Avoid burnout. Compositional flexibility is always great, having those players to swap in and out. And it's a lot harder to prepare for a team with a lot of players in it because you never really know what you're gonna get. On the con list, as you can tell, that's a lot longer. We have bench burnout. To explain that, pretty simple. If a player doesn't get to play a lot, he will most likely get a little bit rusty, and he will also not fit into the team, and he might be grumpy. So there might be a little bit of an argument going on behind the stage. Now we have too many personalities fitting into the bench burnout as well. It hurts the synergy to have too many players to swap in and out, and it's really hard to gain momentum. Coaches are spread thin unless you have a lot of them. And last but not least, splitting, dinner bills. A nightmare. Yes. Nightmare with
hate doing that one.
And also when we look at these rosters too, I mean, I think in this meta where they can run 3 or 4 DPS on control, that's where they're really going to be strong, because they can play all those excellent DPS players they have, including Sinatraa. And Sinatraa, I think, is going to have an amazing season. It's a fantastic meta for Sinatraa. He comes in as an incredibly strong Zarya player historically, and I think we're going to see some excellent Zarya play across maps here from the ace, now the, of course, of-age player turning 18 during the course of the last season. He's had that off season to work up on his skills, integrate into this team. This is going to be Sinatra's year.
Do we have a few Sinatraa fans out there? I think one over there somewhere. It's pretty loud. Well, we will get a chance to see the shock a little bit later on, but our first match of the day is going to feature the Toronto Defiant, who are making their Overwatch League debut against the Houston Outlaws. And Houston just missed out of the 2018 postseason, if you remember, to last year, while Toronto is looking to make a strong first impression with a few league veterans and a core made up of mostly Korean contenders players. So what kind of trust do you have in this Defiant roster, Zoe?
Actually, a lot, I think. We have the veterans who bring the experience, and then on top of that, we have some new blood. Ivy and Yakpong are the 2 players I will personally watch out for. Ivy has been making quite a name for himself as flex DPS player for Ardian, and his colleague and partner in crime, Yakpong, who was his teammate on Ardian. I think their coaches from the team called him the best available Winston 2019. Wow. So they got, I know that's, and of all the 5 Winstons, he was the best. But I know those 2 players have been having standout performances, and I do think that they can continue that.
Monte, for the Houston Outlaws, we always said they have trouble in the tracer position. It looks like that was one position they filled in the offseason.
Yeah, they did, and I really like the addition of Dante. Maybe not for this meta, but for future metas. He does bring some depth at the Sombra position as well. But my question for Houston is, okay, you got these extra players, but it was so transparent when you were swapping players and what your roster composition was going to be in the last season. Do they have that depth to switch compositions fluidly inside a game? And I think that's what we really need to see from Houston. Certainly Dante's going to help out in those mechanical positions, but is he just going to be stuck on Zarya? Are we going to see him actually play the Sombra in this meta? These are the questions we need answered.
I mean, so far it seems like it, right? He wants to become more known as that kind of flexible DPS anyway, right? So we'd expect on a little bit of a Zarya from him, a little bit more DPS as well. But my question with Houston overall is, did they make enough changes? Because the thing is they had kind of middling success last year. There were definitely some highs, but there were also a lot of lows as well. So the thing along with that is, do they really, trust this roster enough to kind of carry forward to 2019? It looks like they do right now, but I think time will tell with that.
All right, well, while we have the Outlaws looking for a strong start, the Florida Mayhem, who's in a later match, are looking for a fresh start. We visited the Florida Mayhem's house to find out how their rebuilt roster is starting to gel coming into 2019. Don't go anywhere. This is the Watchpoint Pre-Show. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
swoosh, leading the pony ride to the stage.
This team is always just teasing you. They're always just falling short.
I think we failed on a lot of different levels. You know, I think first of all, we went to this season very underprepared in terms of just having 6 players, no substitutions.
저도 잘한 판이 있었고 못한 판이 있었는데 그런 더 강한 의지력을 배운 것 같아요, 그냥.
We want to turn this ship around quickly, and if you look across the roster, we do have a ton of guys who know what it takes to win. Everyone understands that it's not about them, it's about the team.
개인적인 스타일 많이 포기하고 그냥 팀합적으로 이제 맞추려고 노력하고 있어요.
저번 시즌보다 더 나아져야겠다라는 더 그런 책임감이 큰 것 같아요.
We are kind of like an expansion team as we basically come in with like almost a completely new roster.
To make a team work, you have to have trust among teammates, and you have to make sure that teammates are able to coexist.
최근에 다 같이 일정이 있어가지고 팀원들 전부 다 플로리다 여행 갔다 왔었는데요. 뭐 그때 많이 친해진 것 같고.
이제 원래 미국에 있었던 S&D 선수와 이제 사야 플레이어 선수가 많이 도움을 줘서.
The old guard, so to speak, I think they were very excited by kind of the changes and the direction we took in the off seasons.
This year we're not going to go 7 and further free.
The Mayhem welcomes 6 new players to the roster for this season, and that roster is so fresh that Awesome Guy, their main tank from last year, actually wanted a new name. He now goes by SNT. The Mayhem kick off their season against the expansion Atlanta Reign, and the Reign's 9-player roster represents 6 different countries, and will look to find instant chemistry against a Mayhem team that wants everyone to forget about what happened last season. So Monte, start with Florida here. How can they make us forget?
Well, they can sign an all-Korean roster. They did that. All right. But actually, Hagapun, I really like this pickup. He was certainly an excellent player when he was on the London Spitfire. Unfortunately, as he was sort of cut as London slimmed down. That doesn't mean that he's not a quality player, and he's going to be coming out on this Florida roster. I think he's the veteran, experienced player from Overwatch League that they're going to need at the flex support position.
True enough, they also picked up BQB, formerly of X6 Gaming, and now I talked to Bare Hands on Florida Mayhem about BQB. The first thing I asked him was, what in the world does that stand for? And he said, apparently it doesn't really stand for anything. His teammates on his old team just gave him that name because they thought it sounded cute. So there you go. There's the story of that one. But this guy is a great DPS player. I've been told Azaria's, thank you, right? I've been told Azaria's quite good, but I was really told too to watch for this guy, Sombra, supposedly one of the best out there, and he's going to get to prove it today.
Excited to see these guys. Let's talk about the other side of the stage where we'll be seeing the Atlanta Reign. With so many players from so many different countries, who do you think the Reign is going to rely on for coordinating all these parts?
Oh, I think that's actually, no, it's not different. Sorry, audience. My pick here is going to be their tank duo. I think their tank duo is going to be one of their strongest assets with Pokpo and Dako. Those two guys have been playing fantastic with Element Mystic in the past. They both had standout performances, and Pokpo looks very multidimensional. We saw him seamlessly going from Winston to Reinhardt to Orisa and really performing well on all those 3 tank heroes. And on the other side, we have Dako's Diva, who was on the very top compared to every other Diva in the Korean contenders. So those are the 2 I will be looking out for.
Looking forward to watching more Diva play. Saw some big bombs last night, but let's talk about our next matchup. Our last matchup today is between 2 expansion squads representing China. We have the Chengdu Hunters taking on the Guangzhou Charge, and Guangzhou has the youngest roster in the league with an average age of just under 19 years old. Chengdu brings a 3-man core from the 2017 Chinese Contenders Championship squad, Miraculous Youngsters. So, Zoe, what kind of playstyle do you hope to see from this Chengdu roster?
That is a very good question. I've not really seen them play. I haven't seen any scrims. I've not heard fantastic things about them, to be very honest. But what I hope to see is chaos.
They have 2 actual pairs on their roster.
I want some real chaos there. I want them to catch their enemies by surprise. I want to see that typical Chinese kind of Overwatch, which is hyper-aggressive, unorthodox, and a little bit chaotic. And I think this is how they will be able to get their first few wins on the board.
Don't worry, Dill. We're going to get those bears in the U.S., and then we'll take some photos of them. It's going to work a little bit later.
It's really hard to get visas for panda bears.
It is very tough.
Yeah.
Have you tried?
Have
you actually tried?
Dill, we got to talk about Guangzhou, though, right? This is the youngest team in the league right now. So it's so much young talent. Who are you looking for to lead this squad?
Well, they've got a player named Hotba, of course. You're going to remember from Philadelphia Fusion last year. Now, this guy, he's not only a veteran in the league, but he's been all the way to the Overwatch League finals. This guy has played on the biggest stage you can play on in the Overwatch League, and it's going to be on him to sort of lead this very young team. He's going to be doing it from the DPS role, and I can't really think of too many players out there better to kind of do that.
Well, I like it because he can flex on a Tracer like we saw last season, so that's going to be really exciting. But if you want a DPS player to watch, you have to watch Happy. I think most people are not going to know this guy coming into the league, but he is one of the most impressive Widowmakers that I have ever seen. He sort of makes my jaw drop when I watch him, and I think people are really going to like his look when they start to play in some of these more 3-4 DPS lineups. You're going to have a lot of fun watching Happy.
I'll be honest, I loved his Zarya already. He is doing some work in the offseason. We're getting closer to the second day of action, and coming up, we'll hear from Striker about how his move to San Francisco went down. Now he fits into this crowded Shock roster. This is the Watchpoint pre-show. Welcome back to the Watchpoint pre-show. One of the biggest off-season moves sent the Boston Uprising prime damage dealer Striker to the San Francisco Shock. Striker led Boston to a perfect 10-0 record in Stage 3 last season, and he helped them finish third place in the overall standings. But as Striker tells us, it was simply just time to move on.
The most slippery Tracer in the league, Striker.
저는 뭐 이제 확실히 제가 이제 시즌 끝나고 이제 보선에서는 너무 안 맞아가지고 제가 더 많이 저희 감독한테 요청을 했어요. 이제 이적 시켜달라고 트레이드. 이제 외적으로는 다 웬만해서는 좀 좋았는데 게임 안에서는 좀 이제 좀 트러블도 좀 있었고 나가고 싶었다 생각을 많이 했었는데 말쯤에 샌프란시스코에서 다시 트레이드 요청이 와가지고
San Francisco added so much talent to their teams. You added guys like Striker. It's another hit scan specialist. I very much love Striker as a player. In the first season, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I rated him as the best Tracer in the league.
When I found out that Striker was joining the Shock, I was honestly super excited.
전 처음에는 이해는 안 됐어요. 왜냐면 거기 제가 가기 전에도 4 DPS였는데 제가 가면 5 DPS 됐는데
It was kind of unexpected because we had already had 4 DPS players, so I wasn't expecting to add a 5th.
Am I concerned? Yeah, a little bit because, you know, they could be taking my spot. But I think it's fine because I can, you know, spectate them during scrims and like learn from them.
그 이후로 들어보니까 이제 메타도 쉽게 좀 바뀌고 하다 보니까
We just have a bunch of different options for whatever we need, and I think that's a good thing.
보선이랑 첫 경기할 때 팀은 저는 진짜 재밌을 것 같아요. 왜냐면 제가 같이 연습해왔던 그걸 이겨내야 하니까 그 상황이 재밌고 설레일 것 같아요. 그래서 저한테 진짜 새로운 시작입니다.
The Shock let Dante go to Houston and brought in Striker. Their new damage dealer had superior numbers last season. While this looks like a nice upgrade on paper, it'll be interesting to see how the Shock rotate their damage dealers in the matches today.
You call these meatballs? More like snowballs, it's cold. All right, even though this food is colder than Widowmaker's heart, I'm feeling nice enough to take a sit down with a few teams today. If you want to be in the Watchpoint family, I will now take this under consideration. But remember, I want real contenders. You, in the pink at the end, make your case.
Godfather Monte, how are you? I'm the Hangzhou Spark. I represent China, man, but most of my guys, we're big earners over in the Korean contenders. We've only been here one day, and already we're the best team to come out of China. We're #1, baby. That's right. And plus, we got these sweet pink shirts. What do you think, boss? Am I in?
I like your style, Hangzhou Spark. You really showed some nice energy in that contenders scene. And even then, you came out yesterday and got that 1-0 victory over the Shanghai Dragons. I'd like to welcome you to the family. Okay. You, with the fancy haircut, what say you?
Padre Monte, grazie mille. I'm at the Houston Outlaws. Everyone knows I was the coolest team in the league last year, but I was short some wins which kept me out of the postseason. Mi dispiace. But I picked up a new player. You wanted a tracer. I got you a tracer right here. And the rest of my roster, we stick together like risotti parmigiano. I think I have a shot to be, as you say, a real contenders.
I think you're full of it, Houston Outlaws. I don't believe you for a minute. You get your tracer, but maybe that's not good for this meta, you know what I mean? I need to see some games from you before I let you into the family, okay? So show me what you got today and we'll talk again. All right. Well, look who it is. You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here again, Seoul Dynasty.
Boss, I'll admit I didn't live up to expectations this season 1, but look, I took a good look in the mirror and I got myself right with a new main tank. And as you said last night, you can trust me now. You want wins? I'm good for it. You want stage finals? I'm good for it too. You want a postseason? I'm good for it. Give me another chance, boss. Please.
I thought you had disappointed me for the last time, Seoul Dynasty, but you know what? You came in with fissure and you beat his old team, the LA Gladiators, yesterday. Yeah. You restored just a little bit of my confidence, so I'm gonna let you be part of the family again, but you're on thin ice there, Seoul Dynasty.
Thank you, boss. You're not gonna regret it. Thank you.
All right, my decisions are final. Best of luck to you all. May your family remain loyal.
We're all in the family here in the Blizzard Arena, and we are moments away from action kicking off on the main stage between the Toronto Defiant and the Houston Outlaws. This is Watchpoint. And a new challenger appears. It looks like we have the Defiant setting up shop, getting ready to go up against the Houston Outlaws in our first major battle of the day. On the other side, Houston coming ready after a strong season in 2018, looking to secure a spot in the playoffs here in 2019. It's good to see Spree back on that main stage here today for the Outlaws. That match is just moments away, and before we get to the predictions, we've got some time for some quick back caps. This is one of my favorite segments, and guys, we're gonna get to the predictions right now, I'm told. Let's buy ourselves some time here as we jump right into it. We're almost done, but before we go, here's a look at the matches going down today. Let's see who our analysts think is gonna win these things. Zoe and Doa, both like Houston over Toronto, but Monte has to defy it. Monte and Doa are picking Florida over Atlanta, and Zoe likes the rain. That makes a lot of people here pumped up, and our casters have the
rough for us to watch today.
Yeah, I don't know. So here's the thing. I know I kind of questioned Houston a little bit earlier in the show, but I think the thing is they've got the stage experience. They've got the synergy experience. And the thing is, it's like Toronto doesn't even have their best player. Neko can't even play today. So I think when you look at this objectively, you got to go on day one of the league, or day long for these guys, with Houston.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm going Doa today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm siding with Mr. Doa. Guys, that is going to do it for the Watchpoint pre-show. Stay tuned. 4 matches coming your way after this.
Every season should be better than the last.
It's time for some more Overwatch League.
Fasten your seatbelt. You guys excited?
This is where it gets out of control.
Welcome to the Overwatch League. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to day 2 of the Overwatch League 2019 season. I am Achilleos, joined by Wolf. It has been quite a journey for these teams, looking to take the stage today. For you and I, Wolf, traveling from South Korea to